Hi guys, so we're going to continue our lesson on the metric system right now. Hope you enjoyed the Bill Nye video and took some good notes on those. We'll compare our notes when we get to class next time on that. So one of the important things to know about the metric system is that, of course, it's based on the number 10. And because that's true, we can set up kind of a convenient chart to help ourselves remember the units in the metric system. So first of all, we have our base units, and the base units in the metric system are the liter, the meter, and the gram. And as you saw in the Bill Nye video, liter is used to measure liquid capacity, meter is used to measure distance, and gram is used to measure mass. So we have abbreviations that go with each one of those. And for liter, you usually see a capital or cursive L. And I'll explain why that is in just a minute here. For meter, it's a lowercase m, and for gram, a lowercase g. Now, in the metric system, we can add prefixes to these base units to talk about larger or smaller quantities. And so if we take let's use a meter stick because we're all kind of familiar with a meter stick. If we would take our meter stick and divide that meter stick into 10 parts, we would have a decimeter, D-E-C-I meter. We could do the same thing with a liter, which is really close to a quart. We could divide that into 10 parts, and then each one of those 10 parts would be a decimeter. So we can do the same thing with our liter, except instead of dividing it by 10, we'll divide it by the next power of 10, which would be 100. And we call that centa. You may, that may sound like the word cent to you, like a penny. There's 100 pennies in our dollar, so that might help you remember that centa is 1/100th of one of these base units. So what we're saying is if we take the meter stick and divide it into 100 equal parts, each one of those parts would be a centimeter. Then we can do the same thing. If this is divided by 10, this is divided by 100. This one's going to be divided by 1,000. If we took our meter stick and divided it into 1,000 equal parts, we would have a millimeter. Now we can use these prefixes on any one of these base units to say divide by 10, divide by 100, or divide by 1,000. So I could say decimeter, which means 1 meter divided into 10 parts, or I could say deciliter, which is 1/10 of a liter, or decigram, which is 1/10 of a gram. All right, now we can go the other way then. We can multiply these units by 10, by powers of 10. And so if I take a meter stick and lay 100 of them, I'm sorry, let's go with 10 of them end to end, then we would call that a deca, D-E. And I'll make these capital letters just so we know that these are getting bigger. So that's a decameter. Sometimes I've seen that spelled D-E-C-A as well. You might see that sometimes. So that's 10 of any of these base units. It's 10 grams or 10 meters or 10 liters. And then if we took it and multiplied these base units by 100, then we would have a hecto, H-E-C-T-O, hecto. So we could have 100 liters would be a hectoliter. So we've multiplied by 10, we've multiplied by 100. So if we multiply by 1,000, this is one you've heard before, I think, kilo. So we could have a kilometer or kilometer, a kilogram or kilogram, and then a kiloliter or kiloliter. All right, so there are some kind of nice remembering phrases that will help us remember what these units in order, because they're handy to remember in order. And the one that I remember the best is kittens hate dogs because dogs can't meow. So that's just a silly phrase that might stick in our minds and help us to remember the order of these metric units. So of course the K helps us remember the kilo, the H, the hecto, the D, the deca, and then the B is these base units. So we have to remember that there's a liter, meter, and gram in the base units. And then deci for D for deci, the C in cant for centa, and the M in meow for milli. Now there's another phrase that might help you remember the base units, and you can pick whichever phrase you like, but here's another one. And you may have heard this one before. King Henry drinks, I'm going to put these in a column, milk, lemonade, and Gatorade during chess matches. And so that phrase would help you remember the base units of meter, liter, and gram, because we've got the M for meter, the L for liter, the G for gram. Now notice that I didn't have mine in that order. That's fine. There's no special order to list the bases, because each one of these base units can be used with each one of these prefixes. All right. Now, so the abbreviation for kilo is a K. The abbreviation for hecto is an H. The abbreviation for deca is DA. And the reason that we need two letters here is because we don't want to confuse it with a deca over here, whose abbreviation is D. And the abbreviation for centa is C, and the abbreviation for milli is M. And so we can take any one of these abbreviations and add them to any one of these suffixes here. So we can have kiloliter, we can have kilometer, or we can have kilogram. We can have hectoliter, hectometer, or hectogram. We can have decaliter, decameter, and decagram. Again, the DA, because we don't want to confuse it with deca. So we can have deciliter, decimeter, and decigram. We can have centiliter, centimeter, which you're real familiar with, and centigram. And then milliliter, another common one, millimeter, and milligram. Notice that it doesn't matter that meter and milli have the same abbreviation, because if there's only one M, we know it has to be meter, because milli is going to always be a prefix on one of the other base units. So if there's just one M there, we know it's meter. All right, now, again, what do each one of these units mean? Remember that the base unit is the starting point, that's 1, and then deca would be 10 times the base unit, so that's the base unit times 10. Hecto is the base unit times 100, and kilo is the base unit times 1,000. Now, you're seeing a pattern there, but now these numbers get smaller, so we're going to divide these base units up. So deca is 1/10, or 1/10 of the base unit. Centa is 1/100th, or 1/100th of the base unit. And milli is 1,000th, or 1,000th of the base unit. So if we had the base unit, to go to any of these units, we'd be multiplying. To go to any of these units, we'd be dividing. We're getting smaller. All right, now we're going to be practicing converting in the metric system. You've already done that in science, but we'll just have a refresher on that. And we're also going to be practicing converting in the customary system, which is a 5th grade skill. And then we're going to take this and convert between the customary system and the metric system. But for now, these are your notes. Bring these to class with you next time. See you then.